I, M30, caught my wife's friend's fiancé, M33, stealing my alcohol. Hi all. My wife wants to cut all ties with him and tell her friend. Is this the right approach? Do we tell my wife's friend? Do we tackle it with the fiancé directly? My wife isn't from around here, and she's autistic, and I've been worried that she's isolated and doesn't necessarily have a supportive network to lean on. I'd hate for her to lose her friend, as her friend is nice, caring, and is a genuinely good friend. Details about me and my wife, mid-30s, one child. Details about friend's fiancé, mid-30s, no children, getting married, want children. Backstory. Me and my wife have always been wary of her friend's fiancé. Her friend is great, kind, caring, goes out with her and takes a genuine interest. Her partner, however, is the complete opposite. Brash, doesn't listen to anybody, drinks a fair bit in social situations and gets sleepy and dopey. We can always tell when he's had a drink as he struggles to keep his eyes open and seems completely detached from reality. They keep offering to babysit for us, which is really nice, but we worry about the child being left alone with her partner, because he completely shuts off, or takes an interest in something for 30s then goes and sits in a corner on his phone ignoring the world. We normally set up in the lounge, I bring food and drink through, and most times they're round the fiancé will randomly get up and go to the kitchen to fetch himself something. I'm not really bothered by this, but it irks my wife. More on this below. The event. My wife has her friend and fiancé round for a movie night. I wasn't happy with this as I was feeling tired after work and not really up for entertaining, and we'd had a few words about this. She told me how much having her friends over meant to her and asked me to play nice and not make a fuss. As per wife's request, I keep the kitchen door closed, and bring drinks, food, cutlery, glasses through to the lounge and have it all prepped on the coffee table. This was done specifically to stop the fiancé exploring the house. I had some food still cooking in the oven. After about 15 minutes, the fiancé stands up and goes into the kitchen. This prompts me to check the food in the oven as I had forgotten about it, so I immediately get up and go through. I walk into the kitchen to see the fiancé stood there with examining a bottle of vodka, which has been hidden away because of small child. Truth be told, me and my wife don't drink. I can't remember how much was in the bottle. I suspect it was nearly full last time we looked at it, as we haven't drank in 2+ years, and she doesn't drink spirits. So I hang back for 30s to see what he does. When he spots me, he attempts to hide the bottle of vodka behind his back before realizing I'd already clocked it. Not wanting to make a scene, as per wife's request to play nice, I nonchalantly play it off to see what he was doing, and truth be told we don't really drink so I'm not really fussed. I'd hoped he was just looking at the brand and would have made a comment, but he then went to a cupboard, poured himself a 1/3 pint of vodka, topped it up with a mixer, said, "I've had such a day," and then went back through to the others. Now, while I don't particularly care about the alcohol going, the following things sit uneasy with me. 1. 2/3 of the 1L bottle was gone. I'm adamant that we bought the vodka for a party with 8 friends 3 years ago. It was open for a single round of shots. Everybody hated the vodka so it went into our storage. I've not seen that bottle for 3 years. It should have been 80% full minimum. 2. He had been in the kitchen for 20s max before I got there, and the vodka was hidden away, so he had gone straight for it. The fact that he had found the vodka means he knew where it was, so has gone through our kitchen before. 3. Over Christmas, I gone through the alcohol cupboard as we'd had my parents round, and I was surprised at some of the things that had been opened that I don't recall opening. I commented to my wife at the time. I'm beginning to think that this isn't limited to the vodka either. 4. They are our backup babysitters, although we never let him babysit alone because of his sleepiness and dopiness, with my wife preoccupied with their wedding stuff. Her friend keeps pushing for the fiancé to babysit alone while they go out. We have always resisted and found silly reasons why not. We're running out of excuses and are adamant we don't want him around the child now. 5. What else has he been through round our house? They are quite well off, and our house is filled with tat, so I'm not particularly worried about him taking anything of monetary value, but the fact he's gone through our house doesn't sit well with us. I've told my wife, who originally laughed it off and said to get rid of the alcohol, but now she's slept on it and is more concerned. I don't want to risk placing a wedge between her and her best friend. I'm not sure what to do. Advice will be well received and welcomed. Thank you for reading. I'm sober. You know who steals alcohol? Alcoholics. He does that because he's trying to hide how much he drinks. Do you really think his girlfriend doesn't know? Or, do you suspect she's hoping he'll change? I think you say something to her. Not accusatory but out of concern. If he is an alcoholic, he's going to destroy her life. Don't ever allow him to babysit. Never leave him with access to your alcohol. She needs to know. She's tying her future to this man. Guy is an alcoholic. I would consider gently addressing it with the wife's friend before she marries him. It's a serious problem that only gets worse if left unaddressed. I would never marry an active alcoholic, that's a recipe for heartache and worse. If it were me I probably wouldn't address it with them directly, but I would stop inviting them over as a pair. Sleepy, dopey, and stealing your alcohol? Pouring themselves a pint of 1/3 vodka, the worst alcohol, and Coke? Strong chance this fella's an alcoholic. This sounds like alcoholic behavior. I wouldn't worry about him stealing anything else. My ex-husband and I stayed with friends for a night. A few days later I received a phone call. You are always welcome back, your husband is not. He drank an entire bottle of gin we had tucked away. At the time, I already knew my ex was struggling with alcohol, but didn't know how bad it had become. I needed that phone call to help me see how bad it had gotten and that his problems had now become my problem. Husband M, 27 giving me F, 26 an ultimatum: move home or divorce. My husband M, 27 and I F, 26 have been trying for a kid for a couple of months now. I moved to the US for several years ago and we live in pretty urban area, but it's not a big city. He's a small town kid, like 3,000 people in his entire town. When I moved from my home country I made it very clear that I would never want to live there, partly because of my career in business and partly because I just don't want to live in a tiny town. So we live about 2 hours from his family by car. We live 15 hours from mine by plane. My parents were here for Christmas and we've had some tensions because of our family before. My family is really caring and has helped us a lot as we got started in life, buying us dishes, helping pay bills while we were in school. They're super involved, inviting us on vacations and planning things for us all together. When we got married my parents were a huge help just in organizing everything. His family chooses not to. And I don't mean help financially, but they don't come see us often. When my parents come and visit they bring stuff from my home country that I miss, but my mom also brings things that she thinks I would like. This year she brought me a China Christmas dish set, which I love. He gets upset about her doing things like that and tells me he doesn't like our interior decor and that he doesn't get to choose anything. This time, he was very rude to my parents, choosing to spend time with friends or just not talking to them. My dad even made a comment that they should have left early. But I didn't think too much about it. The day my parents left he dropped the bomb on me that he doesn't want to try for a kid right now. He said he wasn't in a place mentally to do so and wanted to see a therapist. To me, it came out of nowhere. We had been trying for months and I want to be a mother so badly. I was upset and cried, but I told him I appreciated that he told me and that I was upset, but not mad. Me being upset caused me to be pulled back, which he then decided to go down to his family for the weekend. Usually we go down together, but this time he didn't even ask me. He told me he'd be back that same night, but then messaged later and said that because of the snow the roads were too bad to come home. I can see his location on Find My and saw that he was at a bar in town, which upset me. Because if you can drive to the bar, you can drive home, right? Anyways, he didn't come back until almost 8 p.m. on Sunday and we just didn't talk. We have barely spoken all week. Yesterday, I came home after work and was upset, so I read one of my books in bed. He was in the living room and I heard him talking to his mom and some friends later about how he was excited to go down that weekend and what they were going to do. I got mad because I felt like I hadn't done anything and was upset and he was fine with just ignoring me. So I left the house. Didn't say anything, which probably wasn't great, and just drove around. Went to Barnes & Noble for a bit. When I got back home around 10:30 p.m. he was in bed already. I had been crying so I decided to sleep on the couch. I couldn't calm down and he eventually came in asking if we could talk. I told him I didn't feel like it, but he said it was important. Then he told me he wanted to move home. He misses his family and wants to live closer. I can't remember how exactly he phrased it, but the thought was, either you get on board or we're going out separate ways. We've been together for almost 8 years and I have always been so clear about that not being an option for me, and he has always said he felt the same way. No, he is telling me he wants to buy land and own horses and cows, and it might be best if we call it quits because we want different things. I'm heartbroken. I have cried all night and tried to make this make sense. Every time I bring up that I'm even further from my parents he just tell me that he doesn't care, he wants to go back to his family. Am I insane? Is he just a big mama's boy and I never realized? I'm wondering if he might be claiming this as a reason, but he actually has someone else. I have also gained a lot of weight in the last 2 years. Is that it? I can't figure it out and I don't know how to move forward. I asked him to stay here today so we could talk about it, but he said he needs space to think and he promised his little brother to watch his ball game. To my comment that he promised me for better or for worse, he didn't have anything to say. I love my husband. We don't always see eye to eye, but he is the love of my life. I don't understand what is going on. Any advice is appreciated. I'm heartbroken and just pray that there is a way to fix this marriage. Please tell me if I am delusional and it is my fault. Edit. Hey guys, thank you all so much for your kind words. A couple things that got asked and some additional info. 1. My husband is the only reason I am living in the US. If this marriage doesn't work, nothing is holding me here. I would want to move back home. 2. I think what is hard for me to come to terms with is that we had talked about these things extensively before. We had talked about how we wanted to raise our future children and what we cared about in our marriage. He used to say he was so glad he got out of his hometown and even lived with my family in my home country for a year. So I just don't understand where this sudden urge is coming from to move to his hometown. Also, while the area where we live today is more urban than his hometown, it is still pretty small. We live on the outskirts of some woods. He gets to fish and hunt here. 3. I don't think he was trying to baby trap me. He was very clear that he doesn't think it's the right time. After reflecting, I agree. Nevertheless, it hurts a lot. 4. I have always been the one that clearly knew what she wanted. My husband has changed careers a couple of times and companies even more. This is something that has bothered me, and I told him it made me feel unstable. He says that he can't talk to me about stuff like that because I get so emotional and upset, which is why he keeps things to himself until he is ready for me to blow up on him. Honestly, separating is probably the best thing. You want very different things. You've been together since you were kids but have not grown together. Do you really want to move to his town? Do you want someone who's always rude to your family? Do not bring a kid into this. You'll both end up resenting the other if either of you stays. It hurts now, but you will move past this. Let him move home and get yourself some counseling. You've been dating since you were 18 and he was 19. People tend to grow and change a lot in their 20s. He felt a certain way before about living near home and he feels differently about it now. Your position has not changed. So now, it's an incompatibility. I think it's smart to stop trying for a baby and get this marriage, or a divorce, sorted. If you have a baby here, you will not be able to go back to your home country or even move states unless you're willing to leave your kids behind or he agrees to release them. It doesn't seem like you've done anything wrong other than marry too young. It's rare to end up long-term with someone you started dating in your teens or early 20s. Y'all just grew in different directions. He unfortunately went a way you don't want to go. Even if you did follow him, I don't think you'd find your relationship the same anyways, since he's already shown disrespect for your family and has showed many different ways that he doesn't care about what you want anymore. Sometimes love is just not enough as much as we want it to be. It may be time to let him go. Sorry, but it sounds like you two just want totally different things out of life. He's mad about not getting what he wants, so he's taking it out on you and your family. It's good you've stopped trying for a child because your marriage is definitely not in a good place to become parents. Sounds like you'd both be happier splitting up and living closer to your own families. Girl, he's been stringing you along for this, to trap you into this decision. He's rude to your parents, poor communicator, and overall not a good partner. I get you love him, but you're just not compatible. I am not sure why so many believe he is trying to baby trap you. He agreed to live in the city away from his family for you. He said he doesn't want kids and now wants to move home. It feels like he is being very honest with you. He is not a city boy. He tried for a long time. Now, you have to decide, do you love him enough to give up the city? I don't believe there is fault here. You may both love each other very much, but you want different things. F27, found contacts labeled as, babes, Barbie, on my husband's phone, M27. Recently, I noticed in my husband's phone contacts labeled, babes, Barbie, Barbie doll. My phone number is saved only under my first name. When I asked him about these contacts, he became very stressed and said he had to quickly go to the bathroom because he really needs to poo, but once he came back, we would talk. I told him that if he had to go to the bathroom, he should leave the phone in the room, otherwise I wouldn't be able to trust him that he hadn't deleted, changed anything, and it would mean the end of our marriage. He replied that he wouldn't leave the phone with me because I would go through it, and then he went to the bathroom. When he came back, he said that the contacts with such names in his phone were bots and showed them to me. When I asked why he named them like that, he said he didn't know, that he was stupid, started crying, and begged me not to leave him. The problem is that I don't believe his explanation, and I think that while he was in the bathroom, he saved the bot numbers under those names and deleted the real contacts that were saved that way before. When I try to talk to him about it now, he insists that he didn't do anything and that they were just bots. I will also add that before this situation, he always used his phone in such a way that I couldn't see the screen, and when I passed by, he would lock the screen. We are together for 5 years, married for 3 years. Should give him another chance and trust him again? You know he's lying. We Redditors all know he's lying. Obviously you shouldn't give him another chance. You literally told him the marriage was over if he took the phone. He took the phone. You staying just means he knows he's going to get away with it from here on out. Get tested. Divorce the lying, cheating scumbag. ETA. If you're so determined to believe him, in spite of all the evidence, ask to see his phone records. Hopefully him giving you more excuses as to why that won't happen will finally convince you to walk away. Do me a favor and read your text out loud to yourself. You know the answer to your question. I mean, really? No bots are ever saved under a contact name. Use your intuition. If he's messaging other women and you let it slide this one time, who's to say he won't do it again? He's cheating on you. I wouldn't ever give a cheater another chance to do me dirty. Fool me once. Should I give him another chance? No. He's lying. My ex was seeing hookers for $400 per FS and he had them saved as Client 1-inch, Client 2, ECT when he was working as a self-employed gardener. Left him after I'd told him that normal people name their contacts, and when I went through the messages it was hookup meetings. Is what I'm experiencing in my relationship normal? I, 21 female, and boyfriend, 25 male. Have been together for a year now, living together for 8 months. And this situation started within the first few weeks of us sleeping in the same bed. I have a very overactive bladder causing me to use the restroom 2-3 times a night, which means I have to open our heavy bedroom door a few times at night, causing my boyfriend to wake up, and it pisses him off so bad we have had countless arguments over the situation. He thinks I'm being disrespectful towards his sleep. He wakes up at 4 a.m. and has a 45-minute commute to work. So yes, I agree sleep is important to him, which is why we are asleep by 7:30 p.m. most nights, but it causes me physical pain to hold my pee in all night. Well, on a few occasions when I do try to hold it I tend to toss and turn a bit more, and he would dig his elbow into me or shove his knee in my back to get me to stop. I've expressed to him that I don't like that and I simply cannot help that I need to go to the bathroom at night. There are times I've held it so long that it's caused me a UTI. It's been a couple of weeks since he's gotten super pissed about it because I broke down crying one night explaining why it hurt my feelings. I've also asked him if he has considered taking melatonin so he can sleep through me waking up, and he said I should be the one taking it since I can't seem to stay asleep. Please help, I love my boyfriend but I'm not sure this is a flaw I can handle. Edit, we have to leave the bedroom door shut because our house does not have central heat and air, so we heat just the bedroom at night. You go to bed at 7:30 at 21 for a man who is mean to you, I guess. Just think about that for a bit. Sleep separately. Sleep is important. Your health is important. No one should have to sacrifice either. Dude, break up with him TF. He's causing a fight over you having to pee? He's willing for you to risk your health by getting a UTI but not to take sleep aid for his unreasonably light sleeping. He does not care for your health and needs to grow TF up. Your boyfriend is physically hurting you. Full stop. He is shoving his knee into your back? And digging his elbow into you? Because he's frustrated? I get the importance of sleep, but physically hurting you isn't the way to deal with any issue. I wouldn't be surprised if it escalated both in and out of the bedroom. Please don't move in with a partner within 4 months of dating them in the future.